Ag Week Weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
What kind of weather can the region expect as November begins? Here's John with our Agri-weather outlook.
Over the next couple of weeks, November chill definitely in the air. We're not seeing any big pushes of warm air up into the northern part of the country again. It's generally much chillier, but we're not seeing the weather transition to really any organized frigid air yet, at least not down into the United States. We had a big snowstorm a couple of weeks ago. I do expect some precipitation into the northern plains and upper Midwest, but not a lot. Mostly what falls in terms of snows and some of it rain will be much lighter than what we've seen for the latter part of October. And there will be some areas of agriculture that will continue to be a little on the dry side. Let's start, of course, with the general weather pattern. Relatively weak split flow pattern setting up this week. Warm weather down around the Gulf Coast and in the Southwest in the usual locations. Little surge of weather into the 70s, getting up as far north as Nebraska today. And this is on the first day on Sunday. And it's still hovering right around freezing in northern North Dakota and over southern parts of Manitoba. That cold weather will kind of hang around the northern plains, northern Rockies, some parts of northern New England. But we're not really seeing a lot of freezing highs across any part of the United States. The split in the pattern will continue. It's trying to ridge up here, but it can't. The northern branch of the jet fairly weak at this juncture, which is one reason why the really cold air, sub-zero type highs, are going to stay way up in the high Arctic this week. Now, as we get toward the end of the week, I do anticipate a little bit of a building up of the southern jet stream ridge, and that will eventually, I think, into the second week here. Now that gets us on toward about the mid part of November. That's going to pull some pretty warm air pretty far north. These will be 70s getting up into Nebraska, and probably getting some 40s and maybe even some 50s into North Dakota and Minnesota right around the mid part of November. Very likely a fleeting thing, and these branches of the jet will likely start pulling cooler weather down into the north central and eastern United States eventually. Precipitation. Well, I do expect some rain turning to snow very early in the period. That's going to come out here Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. And mostly this, I think, will be a light to moderate type precipitation. There may be a few areas of heavier snows in the Rockies. Southern plains generally pretty dry. The rain's beginning to work down the west coast, but not getting to California yet. And a modest little system will affect the Canadian Maritimes and New England. For the second week of the period, most of the Great Plains look pretty dry, little precipitation in the eastern Corn Belt, and a little snow coming out of the Rockies, most of it staying in Canada.